Hey everyone, I'm so excited to share with you about this year ahead, or I guess technically we're already here, 2022. So weird. So I have my friend Emily with me here and with us, I guess you could say, to talk about what the year is going to bring. And if you don't know, my name is Latoya from Emerald Astrology. Pretty much today, the intention of this video is discussing the year ahead and providing our insights because Emily and I was talking about in this nice, cute coffee shop about the year and how it just looks really crazy. And those that may be struggling and looking at your own chart, and you're like, man, I have a struggle chart or whatever. And like, how can I actually like deal with more of this challenging, stuff that's coming our way? We felt like, okay, maybe we should give our insights just in case, you might be one of the people that feel like I'm struggling and I need some kind of, I guess, like, yeah, just guidance. So we're doing this today for you guys. So Emily, do you want to share a little bit about yourself? Because people may not know you. I think we have published your blog once on Emerald Astrology. So we might have some people that are familiar with you, but if not, can you please share a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I got into astrology basically because my life was really, really crazy and intense and very hectic. And I started realizing that there were certain undercurrents that were like tying my life together. And whenever I discovered astrology, it was like everything in the world made sense. And I have something that I guess you would call like a trash chart, where it's just like oppositions and squares for days,
Mhm.
unlimited oppositions and squares,
Yeah.
um, and like Pluto squaring my moon and things of that nature. So through astrology, I found a lot of clarity, and that had kickstarted a huge, I guess, like awakening in my life. Um, so basically, I am a self-taught astrologer, and yeah.
Yes, pretty much. And yes, that's the word trash chart. I was trying to remember,
Trash
like, what was
chart.
that word? Because I too have like a lot of squares. I think 13 exact. If not, there's probably more if you include the asteroids and stuff. But yes, trash chart. Difficult. So lots of learning to do in this life and integration and adjustments. So yay. So I'm glad that
Plenty.
you're here.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So we're pretty much going to just talk about the planetary ingress, things that jump out at us when we were like looking at the transits. And also, I am a self-taught astrologer, so we thought this is going to be fun to just dive into this way of doing astrology and then share with you guys. So be nice.
Yes, please. We already got so many squares and transits. This year coming up is going to be so interesting. So let's just
Yeah.
all be polite.
Yes, be polite, be nice, and let go of what that's not helpful. Yes, and we're gonna try to do this in 1 hour and yeah, 1.5 hours. So I guess we go ahead and just jump right on in for January, right?
Yeah.
So well, technically Jupiter went into Pisces on December 28th, and I have a sigh of relief almost, it feels like, because it's kind of like, okay, now Jupiter is out of Saturn's house, out of his like area, and he's at home in Pisces. And now I can like rest and still get to work because Saturn's still doing its thing. But Jupiter is now giving us a sigh of relief. So, what do you think about this Jupiter ingress in Pisces?
I am really excited. I did not realize until I also have a phone out looking at the chart,
Yes, me
that he
too.
is sitting at 0 degrees, and I'm just like, wow, thank
Yes,
goodness. Because
yes.
I just, it was okay that he was in Aquarius, so it was fine, nothing wrong with that. But I got a first taste of him being in Pisces whenever he first kind of like put his toes in, and then whenever
Mhm.
I guess he retrograde back into Aquarius,
Yeah.
and that was so tragic because I missed, like, it was like life had became
Mhm.
super optimistic with him in Pisces, and I felt like going back out to the world and seeing people again.
Hmm.
And then he went to Aquarius, and I was like, oh, this is getting really weird really quick again.
Yes, and that's like as a collective, we experienced that as the lockdown. It was just kind of like, hey, he stepped in Pisces. It's like, hey, we can kind of go back into our regular life, and it was just like an illusion. It was like once he stepped back into Saturn's house, it was just like, nope, that's it. We gotta fix some stuff up and do some more vaccinations and all this whatnot. But yes,
Yeah.
it was very interesting seeing that. I was pretty bummed because I was starting to see the benefits of Jupiter and Pisces. I was like, yes, no, once he left. so
Yeah.
so
That's
super excited.
exactly. Yeah, that's how it happened for me. I have, I believe, I'm not sure. I think it's like Pisces in the fourth house,
Mm.
and that was like we were trying to set things in order, and like
Oh yeah.
we were going to inherit land or something like that, and it was like us getting a home. And then when he went back into Aquarius, it was like a will got changed around, the wording was different, and they stepped out, and I was like, ew.
Yeah, you're like,
What
what
is
the
this?
heck? Yeah.
Why? Saturn was like, well, anyways, these are your lessons.
Well, anyways, you're like, cry. You're gonna be
Anyway,
like, wow, so sad. Anyways, it's like that meme of Loki.
yeah, Loki. So, anyways, oh, you thought? Oh, well, anyways,
Yes,
moving on.
exactly. I'm like, wow. Yeah, I'm trying to remember what happened because I know, like, for me, so it's in my eighth house, so it's dealing with other people's resources and money and whatnot, and also my own fears and concerns. And I got a whiff of, oh, life can become so much bigger and expansive, and I don't have to, because my Saturn's also in the eighth, have to deal with all that. And partners, like his business is gonna, we see the trajectory of his business, and then once he went back into the seventh house, for me it was just kind of like, oh wait, we got lots more work to do and figure out how that's going to happen, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, it was like, what the heck.
Yeah, why?
Yeah,
But why though?
why?
Why?
Hmm. Yeah, and then actually Saturn, oh, I kind of like jumped a little bit, but so the FYI, guys, I'm a Gemini, so I bounce around, be nice. But another aspect that I thought was really interesting before we actually get into January is that Saturn squared Uranus on December 24th. I missed it somehow. Like, I didn't personally felt it, I don't think, other than like dealing with family, it was Christmas Eve, but like I guess my expectations and whatnot has kind of shattered of like what that looks like. What about you? What did you experience anything in particular? Because I didn't catch that. Last year
Um,
was much more traumatic.
yeah, yeah, I agree with you there.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's like I think I can't remember. I feel like I did have a lot of issues surrounding maybe the Saturn. Yeah, oh my gosh. That Saturn square Uranus. Um it's messing up my routine. Like I cannot,
Mhm.
because Uranus is now like my sixth house transiting there, and I just don't know who I am anymore. And like
Yeah.
that, it's like, okay, well, you're going to it's a third house square the sixth house, and I was just like, what? It was
Mhm.
really like uh disruptive, just going around all over the place. I can really feel the lack of routine,
Yeah.
the lack of being able to build a positive routine, or at least something solid, very
Mhm.
like every day at 6 o'clock I'm gonna wake up. As soon as I say that, as soon as that crosses my lip threshold, Uranus is like, oh, what's that? That's very adorable. Anyways, it's 7:30 and everything's on fire.
Yes. Yes. And
But
check the
why?
sync. Yeah. Like, what the heck? Yes, because Uranus is the planet of rebellion and innovation. Ew, that's a kind of a nice way of seeing it, but rebellion for sure. Like, it could be for a reason. Most times it's really not, or just you don't understand the reasoning yet. And so, yeah, it just scatters everything that you think this is what it is. This is what I'm going to do. Six house stuff, routine, health. that kind of just goes out the window
Yes,
and
yes.
it comes
Or
back in from a different angle.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh my
It's like a
goodness.
boomerang. You're
Yeah. It
like,
is. It's definitely like that. You think it's gonna go out the front door and come right back in the front door. It comes through the side window, and you're like,
who
"Why?
had that
Why
open?
would you do that? Who are you?
Yeah.
Why are you like this?" It is definitely a I felt like I felt the brief I think in my own personal chart, Saturn, because I'm going through my Saturn return, so
Yeah.
it's like my personal Saturn is squaring Uranus, as well as, the world above us is squaring Uranus. And I feel those brief moments where he doesn't square Uranus, and I'm just
Mhm.
like, oh, the clouds part through the sky and everything's right, and the birds are chirping. And then as soon as he starts squaring Uranus, that bird just hits the wall, and I'm like, ah, I'm like, goodness
Yes.
gracious, what is going
Because it's
on?
like challenges everything you thought like you like, okay, this is true because Saturn's very much about structure and stability and just continue to do the same thing you've always done to build the big thing and you can see it in a very logical way. And Uranus is like, yeah, that's great, but we could do, what about this wild idea? And how about we do it in a way that's not logical? And you're just kind of like, what? So with the square, it's like challenging that. It makes sense. It's kind of like making you kind of trying to find that perfect tension in a way and like breaking out of things that's just like not no longer required or yeah, just required for your life today. So that would
Yeah.
be very difficult. What other, so we're kind of talked about December, now going into January. What did you see that was kind of like, uh-oh, or like, ooh, I'm excited about this one?
I wrote it down.
Yay.
Please excuse my notes.
I have lots of notes too.
Let's see. I did see if there was like a lot of well, of course, the Uranus squaring Saturn. That's going to be running through this whole year.
Yes.
Like as an
I thought,
icky, huh?
no, go ahead. I just thought it was going to be done in mid of the year. No, I
Yeah,
actually
I
looked
thought
at it.
there was a break. Yeah, there's a tiny, like maybe a week, maybe a day. I don't know, where it
Yeah.
was like it does break away mid-year, some for like a week maybe or something,
Hmm.
and then it goes right back. And I was like,
Right back.
well,
Yeah.
what? When? Why? Stop doing this. But
Those retrogrades, man.
yeah, as soon as I think it's, and that's what it is. It's as soon as you think you're safe with Uranus, it challenges that structure you built around your false sense of security,
Hmm.
and it forces you to realize not that everything's a threat, but that where you thought you were safe, you
Hmm.
can actually do way better,
Yeah.
to secure in a different
Hmm.
way. Um,
Right.
I did see the Neptune is also going to be sextiling Pluto, I think, through this whole year as well.
Mm.
Um,
Oh, I
I
didn't
see,
catch that.
I think he is. Let me see. I believe so. Let me check. Neptune. Yeah, he's going to be sextiling Pluto. And it's like social reform, a lot of like truth seeking. A lot of people are going to be kind of um,
Mm.
just looking for letting things go that need to go. So it
Yeah.
adds on to the Saturn Uranus energy.
Hmm.
Uh, but
Oh,
I see in
just.
Neptune is squaring Mars in like the beginning of January.
Hmm.
And that's such a hard, it's like Pisces and Sag energy. That's such a hard thing because it's like that's when we start seeing, if you overexert yourself, illnesses can creep in. Some
Hmm.
people will have like allergies to medications they're taking, or they have allergies, like seasonal allergies as well. And then they have to take a medication for that. They have to watch which kind of medications they're taking so they don't interfere. Um,
Hmm.
it's always a strange energy with Neptune and Mars because it gives you that illusion that you have this, your body's good and everything, but then the square challenges that illusion of vitality, and it
Hmm.
really helps you realize where again, to be cautious about like kind of thinking like you're good to go run a 4K, but
Yeah.
then but
You're like,
then
oh, strong. You're like,
lo and behold, we cannot run a 1K if we try.
Right. Especially when you've been eating chili dogs and fries for
Yeah,
like weeks. It's
yeah,
like you're not
yeah,
training at all.
yeah.
Something
And
crazy like that.
yeah, you just get up off the couch and run with it. And then Neptune with that Mars square energy is just like, oh no, what have we done?
Right,
Um,
right.
did you notice
Mm.
any interesting ongoings?
Yeah, I highlighted the Mars square Neptune as well. I thought that was like a really interesting configuration because of the, yeah, it's just like the illusion of you think that you can do a thing and it just kind of like smacks you in the face almost, and you have to like, it's almost like when I see that, I think of like, okay, having to reassess what it is that you're actually trying to create now that everything is starting to open up and fall apart with the Saturn squared Uranus. It's like, how can I use my energy in a way that actually helps me anchor down this dream of mine and not like hurt myself while doing it? So I thought that was like really like interesting to see as well. Um, Mercury will be going retrograde in January 14th through February 4th. And it's a good time to, I guess, reflect about these things as that square that Mars takes to Neptune. Yeah, it just gives you the opportunity to revisit and kind of like reflect on like, because Mercury will be in Aquarius actually. And so it's just like your connection to community and how do you want to innovate and think things through, and who can be involved in that process as well. So you want to also look at what any of these places, you want to look at where these planets are and how that relates to you and your life. And um, yeah, and Venus actually will station direct January 28th. So I'm really excited about that. I want her to get out of my sixth house.
Yeah, yeah,
Just like
definitely.
bring the joy back, please. But it will be a while until she starts feeling better. So yeah, that's what I saw, and we kind of spent a lot of time in January. Is there anything else that you
Yeah.
wanted to
Right,
chat?
that's right. And then, wow, that is right. Yeah, she's in Capricorn. That's such a hard place for her to be in Capricorn.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just think of like those women that are kind of like professional, like you have
Yes.
to be professional, like
Mm-hmm.
walking fierce. And I'm just like, I don't
Yeah.
feel any comfort from the at all.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like threatened kind of almost,
Yeah,
you know?
there's no comfort, there's no fun, there's no pleasure. The pleasure is being able to dominate and work and like just climb the hierarchy. It
Yeah.
made me think of Mr. I think I said this on the Full Moon podcast, but this energy reminds me of Mr. Strange. Is that Doctor
Oh,
Strange or not Mr. Strange? Doctor Strange, I think is what it is. So like if she was like, I say I don't know my movies at all.
it's okay.
I'm a terrible Gemini, guys. Start making up stuff. Um, uh, but it just makes me think of like his home aesthetic is like a Venus and Saturn Capricorn kind of vibes. And so if he had a wife or whatever, like that would be where she would be around and having to like be very serious. I don't know. It was like a thought that came to mind. So whenever I see like Venus and Capricorn, it's very like serious and very much like very, yeah, just like everything in its place and it's dark and yeah, there's hardly any pleasure.
Yeah, and it's like, well, how do you relate to people? Because Venus loves relating, like in relation, everything has to relate in a way and fit into a puzzle piece
Mhm.
together. And it's like with Venus and Capricorn, with Pluto there, and like
Yes.
everyone else there,
Yeah.
that's chilling there. Um, it's like you can't really relate to people or find comfort at work because these are all, like you said, they're all your coworkers. They're not really your friends. They're more like
Mhm.
what is that? Like the grind and the struggle.
And trying to create this big dream goal that the owner, the business owner, whatever, has put upon, us to, that we agreed to do as well. And yeah, it's just really hard. It's like, no, you're not expected to have work as pleasurable. It could be. And I guess that's a way that Venus in retrograde and Capricorn is making us kind of figure that out. Like, how could we find pleasure in the grind?
Yeah.
Uh, it's, that's what I'm kind of like. I'm like kind of working through myself because I feel like this year is going to be very busy for me and like what I want to do. And yeah, just finding pleasure in the grind.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me see. I think that's about it. Like that was it for the beginning of January, except there's Saturn sextile Mars.
Hmm.
And it was like, that also kind of, I guess, helps Venus and Capricorn because it's like, you get to build those projects slowly and thoroughly. Like,
Yeah.
um, but the Neptune square Mars is almost so strange. Every time I look at the astrology for a week or the month, it shows both complementary and also like opposition vibes to where it's like, you can take that Saturn and Mars energy and go very, very far, very slow, meticulous energy, right? But
Hmm.
then the Neptune square Mars, it's like, let's do it right now, and then it's like,
It's a hot
wait.
mess. Yes.
Yeah, it's so strange. And you could, I mean, there's also like so much like unity with like any Venus, like Venus hanging out here. She wants to do like unity and art and stuff like that. I
Hmm.
wonder if it's like you can get into maybe selling art or like behind the scenes of beauty. Like I always think of like a crowd of people in New York just kind of like going to work, or in like Japan, like they're just going to work, but there's also like beauty in formation.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. There is this like way of movement that could be artistic in a way, or like even just like art, just being surrounded by all the, these people. And it's like Venus is definitely there, but you still have to do the things that you need to do. I can see that. Yeah, I can definitely see that. What about February? Moving on to February, what did you see that was just kind of like, huh?
I'm like, ooh, let's see. Um, let's see. I see in the first week, Sun square Uranus, a lot of
Mm.
Uranian vibes, I guess. And anytime there's all of these,
Mhm.
all of these Uranian vibes, it's like coming into February, we're gonna have a lot of, um, I guess, upsets. Not
Mhm.
so much, maybe not so much physical, maybe a little physical, but it's like it'll be Venus trine Uranus, and then she gets a little bored with her routine. She's done with the Capricorn stuff, right? She's like, all right, cool. I got to the top of that hill, whatever. She's really looking to find something different, and like it's starting. I think that too much routine causes people to kind of have their brains wander, and they develop like strange, unique desires and
Oh
cravings.
gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. That Venus, you're talking about Venus trine Uranus.
Yes.
So she's like still in Capricorn's place, or Saturn's home, but she's like trying to break out of it. Interesting. I could see
Yeah.
that. That's a good insight there. I'm like, oh God, no. Like for me, because I'm
That's
just like, oh yeah, no, I want you to stick to what you're doing. Yeah.
yeah. I
Yes.
I seen that and I was like, oh, 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 and then
Yeah. And then
she's also
Mars conjuncts Venus too.
exactly.
So
Oh
he
my
just
gosh.
like
So
sparks it up more. It's like,
I saw that. I don't know how to. I'm sorry. I laugh way too much because, I mean, if you can't laugh at astrology
yeah.
and the irony of how on point it is, it's
Hmm.
like so hard to make it, especially whenever you are the graceful owner of a garbage chart. You have to laugh at these beautiful, ironic transits that just kind of bring this kind of mess to your door and you have to sort it out, right? So, um, but there's like Mercury will be, I guess, conjunct Pluto as well in the beginning of like
Yeah, that's
what do you
right.
say?
I see
The
that.
beginning of February. And
Hmm.
so there's those kind of like obsessive, intrusive thoughts coming in. Um, Venus is getting a little bored. She's conjunct Mars. She may be looking for parties, love, something to just give her some excitement
Hmm.
because of how stressed. I don't know,
It's just build up,
construction.
you know, a lot of build up. She needs
Yeah.
some kind of release. Yeah. So if you're trying to find some release, this will be the month, but not something to commit
February.
to. Yeah.
Sorry. There's a lot, and then she's also conjunct Pluto at a time, I believe,
Yeah.
and it's kind of like you have to watch
She was
out
back.
for the unconscious triggers, right? Um,
Yeah.
and just the weird undercurrent. It's like, ironically, for it being February, it sure does have a lot to do with Venus and
Yeah.
her struggles with being not only a financial queen, or
Mhm.
like
She
um
gives things that money can buy and the senses can fulfill. And yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
she's like the stable queen, but also, a queen, she needs to have fun every once in a while, and there's definitely going to be that undertow of seeking fun, communication, maybe even with like Pluto touching here and then Mercury touching Pluto as well. At one point, you can see, how do you say, like, I feel like it's like very psychic, and there's like those moments where you feel faded, like when Venus touches
Mhm.
Pluto and then Mercury's there. You may have the conversation with someone that's very, it almost seems like everything clicks into place, and you're just
Mhm.
like, wow, it's
I
like all the
feel it.
stars do align.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I was missing that information. Thank you so much for giving that. Now I know what to do with it and how that helps me build the long-term goal of financial success or material success or um, yeah, just building up that empire that you're trying to do with Venus and Capricorn. That makes sense. Um, yeah, and so actually, Mercury did get out of a shadow period. So when he was in retrograde in January, I think that's what we said. Was it January? Yeah, February 4th. He was January 14th to February 4th. He was in retrograde. And on February 24th, he'll be out of shadow. So whatever, that information that you've gathered, it will be much easier to kind of get that rolling too. Um, and then he will be finding his way, I think, into Aquarius sometime after that. Let me make sure. Oh yeah, he's already in Aquarius. Yeah, so out of shadow. Oh yeah, he's in Aquarius on the 15th. so yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Every time Mercury goes retrograde for me, uh, it's like because I'm a Gemini, I'm really sensitive to this, transit. It's annoying because I want to like jump out and do something completely different having to do with the work, and I'm like, you're trying to build something, and so maybe somebody else might be feeling like that, and so whatever you can do, don't quit your job if you don't have to. Don't suddenly um give that message, because that message may be too much, with this Mercury Pluto transit during February as well. So like that's something to just be aware of. And maybe there is like you need to share some honesty and have that change the trajectory of a relationship that you have with having to do with work or just how you go about your day and building what it is that you're trying to build in the future. So yeah, for me, it's like, okay, once it's out of shadow, I'm like, okay, I'm good. Now we can keep moving and I can say all the things I need to say.
Yeah, that's such a hard position too, because like sometimes you just want to go with the flow, and sometimes the flow is tricking you
Yeah.
into making some pretty hardcore mistakes,
Mm-hmm.
which of course you get to see clarity at the end of retrograde, but
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you're left with some pieces you don't want to pick up, you know?
Right. Yeah. You're just like, okay, what is this? Like, you really have to like analyze really look at what you're looking at and not just kind of like impulsively responding or taking action on something. It's like, oh, wait, I have to really review and figure out how does this actually what role does this fulfill in my life or whatever or need that it meets or whatever like that. So yeah, it's difficult time.
Definitely. I
Uh,
let's see. Jupiter will be conjunct Neptune in the fourth week of February, I believe.
oh, yeah. Neptune, I think I got, let me see, Jupiter, I think that's April.
Oh, April? Okay.
Yeah, well, it goes exact. So he will be in this, I'm sure, in the facility. Let me see, February, you said the second week. He'll be definitely in orb
Oh. Yeah,
aspect.
kind of close. I guess more.
Yeah, he's making his way in the same sign,
Yeah.
so we'll definitely get a feel of what that Jupiter Neptune can be. What do you think? Although we're dropping off all the way to April, what do you think about that
Oh, yeah.
Jupiter and Neptune conjunction? Like, what do you get from that?
I'm kind of excited for it. I feel like, how do you say, like a renaissance of the 60s, possibly?
Oh,
Just because it's like everyone is kind of, we're all coming out of this cave together, right? This big mess cave. And we're like trying to figure out, okay, what's real, what's not real. Everyone who I trusted, I can't trust. I just broke away from this like religious organization. I don't believe
mhm,
that anymore. That's trash. What's new? Like, and so a lot of people are going to be seeking like a different, higher truth, which, everything leads to
mm,
the same. All rivers lead to the ocean, right?
yeah.
So it's that beautiful discovery. And of course, like with Jupiter, there's always expansiveness, and it being in Pisces, getting close to Neptune. Um, Neptune's
Hmm.
like the Christ consciousness, but it's also illusion and delusion sometimes.
Yeah,
So
that's the thing that jumps out to be like, who's lying over there?
I
But not
know.
like intentionally. It's more of like
What are you lying
things can
about?
be so great. Yeah.
Yeah, they're like
Yeah,
those
it can
what do you call
exaggerate it a bit.
yeah, those big, they're like, oh, this is gonna be great. We're all gonna go do something over here and blah blah blah. You get there and then sorry,
It-
my stomach. But
yeah, it's like this is not what I expected it to be. And everyone's
yeah,
like, yeah, me either. And the person that said that is like, yeah, I wasn't expecting this. It's just like, what?
what's going on? Who are you people?
Who are you? What's going on?
Who am I think I just lost myself. What's
Yes.
happening?
Yeah.
It's like it feels kind of like the issues that I wrote down to like watch out for are chasing false happiness. Because you think that you're happy, but then it's like, oh no, I relapsed into an addiction, and it's really just,
Mm.
you know what I mean? Kind of that
Yeah.
deceit of self. Um, and with Jupiter there, kind of, he's always such a great, like he's always so flamboyant and
Hmm.
big. You might not know until it's like too late because you've been chasing kind of like mist, that you're
Hmm.
lost in the fog, right?
Yeah. And Neptune
But
loves to smear the boundaries, and that can look like fog, that can look like altered consciousness, that can look like um, just following people that are not necessarily telling the truth, and it could be intentional or not. Just yeah, just having to have that discernment going on is really important.
yeah, it made
Yeah.
me think of that like moment in the Suicide Squad movie where Harley Quinn just like blindly jumps into a vat of chemicals,
Oh,
and then the
yeah.
Joker walks off and he's like, "Oh crap," and then jumps in for her. It's like the melting and the mixture of colors, that loss of consciousness. Whenever you do, like if people prematurely dive into their subconscious, um, and then they come out basically baptized with spiritual awareness, they immediately want to take that team lead vibe, right? Like they know
Mm,
everything, but it's like, whoa, bro, you just now found out about
hmm.
rice and water, like, like, whoa, whoa,
It's like,
like,
wait, this is a big deal that you're trying to do, and
yeah,
Jupiter, Pisces, Neptune. It's like, yeah, let's just go all the way.
sounds great. Let's do it. It's like,
Let's do it. Sounds
whoa.
nice.
And
Sounds like
like,
a good time.
yeah, sounds really fun. Who called the cops?
Yes.
Like what? But
Yes.
let's see, but like back to February, did you see any interesting?
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much put it out, was Venus conjunct Mars with Pluto. That was like really, for me, it was like, it feels like a very triggering time, I think. Like, because Mars is ready to get things going, and Pluto is like, okay, here's all the secrets. And Venus has already made contact with Pluto multiple times already. Um, and now I think she's moving direct. I think that we said that. Yeah. And so she's like hitting it again. And yeah, so just having to
I'm just looking at
work.
them like,
Yeah, it's like, what is this? What is
I'm like, get
I'm,
away from each other, you sickos. No, I'm just
yeah, like,
kidding.
okay, that's enough. Like, I got the message. Yeah, so that's what I'm like feeling like. But it's gonna give me that. I think the way it could manifest for me, just the way I've been working with this transit, is that it's gonna give me energy to go after what I want. Venus and Mars is all about desire, and Venus is more receptive about it. Mars is about going after after things, and Pluto just intensifies whatever it touches. And so it's just going to be, I think, a very much a like, I really want this, and I'm going to get it no matter what. It's like that ruthlessness that anyone can manifest that. But I feel like for me that might be a thing, because I have a very strong Pluto and Mars too. So when I saw that, I was like, okay, that's going to be a good transit if you're wanting to go after something that you want. Just be careful to not, cut off relationships that really are important to you because you're wanting to go after something that's just coming to me. Just be very mindful of like how you can integrate with all these people that are in your life, and give them a chance to share if they are wanting to go after this with you, and if not, like how can it be worked out. Don't be quick to just cut people off unless it's like this relationship needs to be cut off. And during this Venus retrograde period, I've realized how this relationship is not conducive to my feelings of worth and building me up and my esteem, and so it's not no longer needed. So yeah, just depending on where you're at with your relationship, but it's very much Mars is giving that go 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 energy there. So
Yeah, I definitely wrote that down too. That's so funny. Yeah, I saw that and I was like, ooh. And like
mhm.
in the my stomach, I'm sorry. Ignore
You're
that.
good. I don't think I heard it, but maybe.
Okay. Anyway, but um she's also like, so she is trining Uranus, well so is Mars, and then I guess
Mhm.
by default maybe Pluto is too, maybe not, but for sure Venus and Mars will trine Uranus, and that's where like those really big how do you say, those really big moments come, like you said, like the chopping block moments
Mhm.
whenever you are seeking something and it was like unconscious, and then you're just
Mhm.
seeking, and
And
then
that
when you
breakthrough happens.
yeah, and you finally get what you want, but like you said, like was it worth it? Like, did
Mhm.
you get rid of something very useful for something that was just momentarily gratifying, you know? So
Mhm.
um
Yeah.
with the Venus Mars, sometimes it's good for them to help you figure out the balance where it was imbalanced. But with Pluto
Mhm.
there, it's just like you said,
Just intensifies
intense.
everything.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just
he's
like,
like,
man, I really blew that out of the water. Did not need to react that way. But here we are. Everything's burning down.
yeah, he's like, did you bring lifeboats? It's like, what? What lifeboat? He's like, because we're sinking.
Yes. I was thinking, did you realize you just punctured that? And I'm like, oh no.
I hope
I
you
just
can
really wanted it.
see it.
Yes, so be careful, be mindful. All that energy is available to us during that time. There's a lot more there in February, but I think that's where I don't think we're gonna make it all through the year, you guys.
I know. I'm so sorry. I will literally talk to you for hours
We'll
on
do
like
you.
one subject,
Yes,
and so
yes.
that is
So
kind of
hopefully,
perfect.
what that's turning into is what we think about the beginning of the year, I guess.
Yeah.
Going as we go. Okay. What do you think about March? I'll say Mercury.
Let's see.
March.
Oh, the beginning. Is that a new moon in the beginning of March?
Yeah, March 2nd, new moon in Pisces.
Ooh, yeah, I seen. I was like, wow, the sun is conjunct the moon. Oh yeah, that means it's a new
The new
moon.
moon. So when you
What's
see that in
that
the chart, guys.
about?
Yeah.
Um, I saw. Let's see. Is Mars? Does it say? Yeah, Mars conjunct Pluto. Venus conjunct Pluto still. Mars. I guess it went from January from the square to a sextile of Neptune, and that really has to do with like I guess how do you say the back end of February, where we saw the reaping of the sowing of Mars, Venus, Pluto. The
Hmm.
beginning of March is really the sextile of Neptune and Mars. It's like you're gonna start seeking spiritual counsel because
Hmm.
there is gonna be some people that like were seeking too much a seeker to where their relationships they did have back in February. Maybe they not the victim of the relationship, but the person on the back end of the seeker, the stayer, I guess, is going to kind of be like something doesn't feel right, and they seek metaphysical counsel or spiritual counsel or guidance from some. Um,
Yeah, people that are aware of the connection to the higher realms. Very
yeah,
much a Piscean feel to that. Yeah. Hmm. That's interesting.
but also it's like serving friends and serving relationships. So the person who was not seeking is going to be the person serving.
Mm.
Um,
Yes, serving other people's relationships. Oh, that's interesting because I just like made my consultations available again. I had taken that away for a while last year. So that is there if you guys need help. I'm learning as I go and with relationships and whatnot. But yeah, I could see that. I'm probably gonna be doing that too. It's like I need some more insight, need some more help. I can see that. Um, yeah, and Mars then goes into Aquarius on the 6th of March. So he's like out of that house and um yeah. Oh, so this is what's really interesting with March because Venus, I think she's speeding up. Yeah, she's speeding up. So she would conjunct Mars again on the
yes.
6th, which I thought was like really interesting to see that. I was like, what? But it makes
Yeah.
sense because what she was doing. So it's like, hey, I need to connect with you again, and right on the beginning of Aquarius. So that was I, I don't know what to think of that other than like, hey, that was a tough time. Do you want to see who else we can connect with and like go at it together?
Yeah. Yeah.
um, yeah. So that would be really interesting to see that. Another thing, last conjunction with Pluto, Venus conjunct Pluto on the 3rd of March. So she's like dipping out of Capricorn and has to touch base with Pluto, and then after is Mars. So yeah, it's like Venus is speeding up there. So we're trying to get back to feeling good and getting our pleasures met, but we still have more work to do because she's be like still in a facility with Mars and Saturn. So she's like sandwiched in between them in April, I think. But that's what I saw in March that really jumped out. Another thing with Mercury conjunct Saturn in the second of
Yeah.
March.
I saw that too. I was like, wow, that's gonna be a interesting, like a
Yeah.
double-edged sword kind of thing.
It's like, oh, you said the truth. Now we're gonna buckle down.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, or like having to uh take responsibility for what has been said.
Mhm.
With that conjunction to Pluto that happened. What was that? February? Was that January? Or I'm thinking of something else. But
Yeah,
uh
January. Mercury and Pluto.
yeah. So
Yeah.
having to take responsibility of what's been said is what I see there. So if you think about where your Aquarius is at in your chart, in that area, you're gonna have to start taking more responsibility. So that's another thing that really jumped out. I like that Sun's conjunct Jupiter. I just really like Jupiter because he does like makes things bigger. I guess
Yeah.
like makes things easier to see. But then it also is really scary too because like if it's if you're like getting caught up in illusions, and that can make it really hard to like work through. But I saw that Sun conjunct Jupiter, and I feel like that gives us more hope for what we're going through, what we're experiencing, and abilities to develop, like create what we're wanting to, like affirm what we're wanting to create. Because Jupiter always like affirms and pretty much like encourages that growth. And so I just see that, and I'm like, ooh, it's gonna be good. Sun in Aries. Wait a minute. Okay, yeah. So it's like yeah, so it'd be still in Pisces. Yeah. And it's like near Neptune as well. Do you see anything else in March that really like jumped out at you?
Let's see. I think, let's see. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, Venus, will she be conjunct Saturn at the end of March, I think? Or
Conjunct what?
close? Saturn, I think.
Oh, did I? Yes, March 28th.
So it was
Yes.
like, I wrote down sobering love, kind of like from
Mm,
the beginning of March and the back end of February, where we see people looking for love, looking for passion, parties. Maybe some people had followed those unconscious triggers, kind of like seeking these subconscious lovers from, not even, it didn't have to do with like the person that they were seeking. It had to do with something within ourselves that we were seeking, right?
yeah.
So the people that had fallen to those kind of vibrations, we see them with the Venus conjunct Saturn. Some people may feel like alienated from their lovers or the partners or even like business ventures or even who they relate to on a normal basis. But around this time, towards the end of March, people can see like a temporary breakup or like just a halt in really
Mm,
feeling connected to the people that they receive love from, even to the things they find pleasurable. I wrote down, it's kind of like a Mr. Darcy from Pride and
mm,
Prejudice vibe. It's like kind of stone faced. Maybe your partner isn't going to be giving you like speaking your love language, but they do love you. It's just kind of that the vibration of Venus and Saturn is just very, it's not cold, but it's not overly like flamboyant as if it would be
yeah.
like Venus and Mars. It's like, okay, yes, love, passion,
Oh,
those kind of things.
passion.
Yeah, but Venus and Saturn, it's like the river has run dry and
Oh, yeah.
you see the bed of the river,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
you get to see what's at the bottom of it. And that's usually like the irony of Saturn stuff, like bones, rocks, stuff to make a good foundation. But whenever Venus moves away from Saturn, the river will return to normal, right? But
Mm-hmm.
so that's just something to think about at the end of March, to not be so like how do you say, like for my personal, like when I notice that my partner is kind of like in his own emotions or something like that, I
Yeah.
will start kind of like like getting
Yeah.
clingy,
Mm-hmm.
it's just something to take note of. It's not that they're trying to purposely alienate you, but it's almost like there is something stopping, a blockage stopping them personally.
Yeah, and being familiar with your attachment style would be good because I also have that what is that, anxious? It's like I forgot what that's what it's called. It's like anxious as anxious attachment. So having that anxiety whenever there's someone like withdrawals, and it's just like, wait, why are you withdrawing your love? Or blah blah. So if you're getting more understanding your building blocks of what love and how you relate to people, and so exploring your attachment style might be really helpful during this time when Saturn is conjunct Venus, and it's really apparent in your life. I think that would be helpful and make you not make drastic decisions, because there is opportunities to build something really stable in your relationship with this, whatever, to your job, to your partner, to the thing that you really, really want in your life. So I see that.
And yeah,
Uh,
that's basically it. Like, I mean, I didn't see anything too strange. I just thought it was so interesting how, um, well, also, I guess towards the beginning, did we talk about how the sun's gonna be like conjunct Neptune ish? And then it's like that is so funny because that
yeah.
creates Neptune's. It just creates such a shape shifting energy.
Yeah, it does. It just brings that, like, oh, you're trying to create something. Let's make that a little bit more, you say woo woo. Let's like blur the boundaries again. What about this? It just really presents all these different possibilities. And it can be annoying because you're just like, I'm trying to like do this. And now I'm like, but what about this? What about this? What about this? And it just kind of, sometimes it can be debilitating, or it can be very empowering. Just depends on like how you work with that kind of energy. For me, it's debilitating. I can't have so many like possibilities in my head, or I just don't move. I'm like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, it's like
Lots of
getting.
confusion.
Yeah, I get like paralyzed from empathy sometimes because I'm like, if I move, I'm gonna feel like I am responsible for something that's not my responsibility. And so I just sit there kind of like in shock and horror of awareness, of
Yeah.
everything. And I'm like, ew.
Yeah.
Ew.
It's like, okay, too much awareness. Can we just like bring in a little bit more?
Yeah, just
Yeah, like the filter. Put the filter
look
back
at me.
on.
I don't look at y'all. Don't look me in the eye. I'm scared. Like,
I'm scared, yeah. So Neptune could do that, but it definitely kind of helps widen that your perspective on things. So if you are struggling with uh, narrow-mindedness, so that can kind of help you open up and just see, hey, things don't have to be so bad. Especially, it'd be really helpful too, because then the sun will go into Aries and then will help you move forward into spring and plant all the seeds that you're wanting to nurture in the year. So that would be really nice. It's a good way of using that energy. Yeah, I think, yeah, other than that, for me, it's Venus is between Mars and Saturn. So that's pretty difficult for Venus, having to deal with responsibility or being concerned about your relationship to whatever. And then that desire, Mars being like right there, like burning things up. So you're like, responsibility or chasing after my desires. And also like being amongst all these people, it can be very, very difficult for Venus. But she won't be there for too much longer. She'll be back. She'll be in Pisces. So that'll be nice next month. April. What did you think about April? I had some stuff here. This is where Jupiter conjunct Neptune happens. Well, at least
yeah,
goes
this is.
exact.
I think is that there's a new moon in Aries, right? And
Yeah, on the first, new moon in Aries.
yeah, and then it's conjunct Mercury and I believe Chiron as well. I wrote that down. I don't know how close of a conjunction it is,
Yes. Yeah.
but I was like,
Hmm.
oh.
Yeah.
Every time I see these, I'm like,
Just like,
oh wow, very
yeah.
interesting.
Hmm.
And
And
then
so,
like, huh?
go ahead.
Oh,
Sorry.
like and then Venus. I think Venus and Mars are kind of like yo-yoing each other through the whole year. I noticed.
Mm.
Like, um, let's see, are they still kind of close in May? Maybe not. No.
So yeah, they start separating after March.
Okay.
They start getting
Yeah.
out of Venus is able to chill out for a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like the whole beginning of the year is it's them kind of yo-yoing through
Hmm.
a lot of mess. But yeah, to that new moon in Aries, that's gonna be a very. Did you say on the first? A
Yeah, it's
good
gonna be on the
April, a
first.
good April Fool's.
kind of joke do you want to have with Aries doing
Oh my
that? What is
goodness.
watch all your Aries people. I mean, they got some jokes on the April 1st. I was kidding. I don't know. Got some jokes for
Yeah.
you.
I was like, wow, and it's gonna be like conjunct Chiron, and Mercury, so it's just like very you have that like trickster energy, but then you also have like Chiron there, and it's just such an interesting, I don't know,
Yeah,
like
dynamic going on there.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
I find Aries to be something that, or the energy to be something I'm really attracted to because these people just like go and do, and I am sitting here paralyzed by
Hmm.
how, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
by the how. And they're like, you'll figure it out as you go. It's like, what?
Going off script, going off road, going out in the weird,
Yes.
like the
Yes.
wilderness.
They
I'm like,
really embody that full energy. Like it's just like from like the tarot card pull, um, just like going after it, trusting in the vision, and they're not afraid of looking, yeah, just looking foolish. Like it's kind of like I'm figuring it out. And as you keep doing that, you get better at foreseeing how things will change and be able to become very much more strategic. And this is like, of course, like the better, once you get better at that Aries energy kind of thing. But I'm also very fascinated by Aries energy. And my Venus is in Aries, so I love that go after
yeah,
it and maybe look foolish, but hey, you'll figure it out.
yeah, yeah. When I see people with, I've noticed that like a lot of singers or actors that I'm like, wow, I really like that person. They have like, how do you say? I think they have like, yeah, they have an Aries moon in
Mm.
opposition to a Libra Pluto.
Oh,
And I'm just
interesting.
like, yeah, I'm like, wow, they have that Hades moon vibe, right? That kind
Mm-hmm.
of opposition that forces them to manifest what they feel and how they desire and things like that. Um, but I noticed that and I was like, wow, that is so weird. But it's
Yeah.
wow, that's freaking weird. No. But
Yes.
I think it's gonna be April's gonna be really interesting. I think it's gonna be good as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, especially with Mercury there.
Mm-hmm.
Let's
Yeah,
see.
I
I
see it as
read,
like it's a good year and a good year. It's a good month and also a very challenging month to be. I see that. Um, I just cut you off. What were you gonna
oh
say?
no, you're okay. Yeah. The beginning of April, it's like, all right, cool. It starts with a new moon. That's perfect. It's beautiful.
Mhm.
There's like kind of Mars conjunct Saturn, Neptune sextile Pluto,
Yeah.
undercurrent stuff. Um, and then Jupiter conjunct Neptune. But it doesn't seem too challenging at the beginning. But when we walk towards the end of the month, I see like
You see it. Oh, that's
stuff.
so interesting that you see towards the end it's really challenging. Because I see the beginning of the month. Did I say year again? The beginning of the month is really challenging to me because of that Mars conjunct Saturn. Because that it's like that go no kind of like struggle energy, and then like the new moon starting off that month in Aries. So Mars that rules Aries is like stuck with Saturn's energy, and it's just kind of like, oh, but I want to go, like I want to go and do the thing, and Saturn's like, wait, child, wait. So
Yes,
I see that as a potential struggle if you're not really good at being patient, which I am not. I'm very much a like shoot from the hip kind of person, like, all right, we're gonna go throw and do this thing. Literally like this our discussion right now is us like trying something new and not knowing how it's gonna go. And and if we had like a very Saturn figure person in Uranus, I'm gonna be like, no, we can't do that today. We got to do this first. And just like, what? Like, I just want to go try it. So I just see it as personally as difficult. But what maybe you are better at doing that
no,
dance.
no. I I was just excited about the new moon. I was like, yay! And then I didn't realize my notes were like, there's gonna be like a Mars square Uranus, and then Mars
Yes.
conjunct Saturn, and I was like, oh wait, never mind. See, so there's
Yeah.
me going forward too fast.
Yeah, it's good. It's
It's
like,
gonna be
wait, no.
great.
There's like, just don't mind those boundaries. It's just like,
Yeah, anyways, we're just gonna shoo that away. Yeah, I see that the Mars conjunct Saturn. I wrote still frustrated. There's a lot of silent anger, and it's better if you just go out and build a deck. That's how you have to deal with this energy. It's like
ah, I
build a
like
deck
that.
physically, get physical with something, like build something. And
Hmm.
that honestly could be the frustration of Venus conjunct Saturn as well. Like for people
Mm,
that playing out, like you didn't have that conversation that you wanted to have, it didn't go your way, and then Mars conjunct Saturn is just like it's building up inside. You can't really express it. You shouldn't express it because it's not fully like come to fruition. Like so, if you
yeah.
open your mouth, you're gonna say the wrong thing, and that's not really what you meant. You
Yeah.
know. Um,
And
and then
it's,
Mars,
yeah, out the window, the opportunity.
yeah, and then Mars square Uranus. I wrote rebel yell.
Love that.
You're
The
building a
rebel
deck and you're just
yell.
like, and it's like
Oh my
that
God.
that kind of energy is just that's so funny.
Wow.
And still, I believe we'll still have Saturn square Uranus in the background, just like slowly testing everyone's boundaries, like a piano key.
Mhm.
Someone's hitting a piano key in the background. Just is this annoying yet? You know, is this are you done yet? Are you annoyed yet?
Yeah. It was like, yes, that's enough.
Yeah, no more piano keys, please. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I'm trying to see when's Mars square Saturn, squares Uranus. I'm trying to like find that.
Oh, yeah, let me see.
Because he's in the same, like he's squaring by sign.
That's right.
So we will definitely still feel that. Um, yeah, I'm not seeing it. You guys can dive into it. But yeah. And so you said towards the end of the month of April, you feel like it's going to be much better. I agree with that too.
Yeah, we have is it
Or no, you
oh
say
sun
the opposite. But go ahead,
oh
because I
yeah,
might have missed
yeah.
something towards the end of the month.
Yeah, actually no, I agree with you. I did not see that in Mars conjunct Saturn.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I miss things too. This is why we're doing it together because we might miss
Yeah.
some things. And guys, there's a lot to look at, and especially a year ahead kind of thing.
Right.
It's just so much. I'm like, this is gonna be like 5 videos.
Yeah,
Like,
mate,
this
who
is gonna.
knows? Who knows? Um, but I definitely I see that at the end of the month there's how do you say? Oh, the sun conjunct Uranus, right? At the
Mm,
end of the month.
I think I missed that. Yeah, because that makes sense. April 19th. It's in.
I think like the
Or
fourth
I see
week.
that more May, like beginning of May. Let me see what it says. Yeah, it's the beginning of May.
Okay. Yeah, that's
So
gonna
May
be
6th.
I guess the towards the back end of April, just be more aware because like we have all that frustration from the front,
Yeah.
and then
Oh.
trying to slowly release that through April. It's going to be like a very slow process of releasing that frustration, but we'll have Venus conjunct Jupiter, Neptune-ish kind of
Mm-hmm.
vibes. And
Mm-hmm.
that's where she is going to be so happy because she's like,
Oh
I
my
have
God.
my people, I have my party, I want to find a soulmate. She's just like, I want to feel good. I want to have celebrations. Who's having a wedding? I'm
Yes.
showing up, you know?
Yes. Taking it all in while she can before she hits Taurus.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes, yes. And that's the thing that's so interesting. It's like while Venus is doing all that, and Mars and Saturn and Uranus is doing all this, and that can look like one area of your life is very, very challenging. That has to do with like Aquarius and Taurus stuff, or those signs. So wherever those signs rule. What am I trying to say? Where those signs, the house, whatever. So wherever they are placed in your chart, definitely take a look because that area is more challenging. And this, with Venus and Neptune and Jupiter, that it's going to be. phenomenal. It's gonna feel great. So
Yeah,
enjoy that while you can, because we're pushing through it. Um,
definitely. And
yeah,
but just like whenever, how do you say, towards the end and the beginning of May, it's definitely going to be like you'll feel all those great emotions from Venus and how you could finally relate to people again and go
yeah.
out and like, as some people, you might even hear about weddings and things like that.
Hmm.
Um, and then it's like Mercury will be sextiling Venus, and there's like a lot of light-hearted,
Oh,
beautiful things.
communication.
Yes, like
Yay.
good stuff. And then even Mercury sextiling Neptune, a lot of really, man, it's just like you're so happy. I just wouldn't make any commitments because you're so happy. You're so happy.
Mm,
It's not a normal level of happiness. Venus is going to be like top tier happiness. Like, so
yeah.
she's going to be kind of willing to like say yes to anything. Especially like Mercury sextiling Neptune. It's not a very good time for clarity. It's a good time for feeling, and feeling is not thinking.
Hmm. Yeah.
um,
It's yeah, it's a definitely a good time for just imagining visualizations kind of thing. And Mercury, he's in the end of Taurus. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, so that's a good time. I like that you said don't be careful with committing to things because I'm very much a yes and let's go kind of person. And I'm like, wait, I do not have time. I think I messaged you yesterday saying that, like, wow, I just try to do this thing and I may not have time.
yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, so it's like, okay. So yeah, to be very careful with that. That's a very good point. Um, let's see. Is there anything else I wanted to? Oh, we'll have our eclipses. Is that the first eclipse? Or did I miss one?
Oh, I forgot to write down the eclipses.
Yeah, I forgot to mention them. I think the first one is April. Let me make sure. That's I don't know if that sounds right. Mm, I mean, I guess I could type it out really bit quick. Um, yeah, I didn't fill it out really well. Oh, it's not even written like that either. May. That's okay. It's the first eclipse, May 2022, May 15th. So yeah, this I think we kind of we're going into that. Okay, I'm jumping ahead.
Okay, so that's in May.
I
Oh,
think
that
I've
makes
read it.
sense.
I think I
And then doesn't Mercury retrograde in May into Taurus?
yeah,
Maybe.
May 10th. Mm-hmm.
Why? Why? Why?
It's like we're gonna have a great time, you guys. So that's
Yes, it's gonna be a very good year.
yes, a very good year. Yeah, so that's gonna be fun. So actually, okay, so April 30th, there'll be a new moon solar eclipse in Taurus, and then we go into May, the first lunar eclipse in Scorpio, the 15th. So that's where I was at.
Wow,
That's what I was trying to get at.
that's
My stuff is a
amazing.
little everywhere, and I'm like, okay, we're gonna get better. I'm so much better than I have been. So I'm proud of that. But yeah, still everything, all my information scattered. Just
Mine
like
too.
just like
I
come
have
on, Jen.
a pile of astrology stuff.
Yes.
Squiggles,
Yes.
astrology squiggles.
I was like, I know where that's at. Let me go find it. Yeah. I'm like, oh gosh. Yeah, so that's gonna be fun. So eclipse season. I guess we can talk about that. We might have more time for a little bit of something else, but what do you think about eclipses? Like the solar eclipse? Because I don't think you've written down anything, but just like off the top of your head, what do you think? Do you
I
like
really do
them?
feel mm, I'm so torn. So eclipses, no. Um,
Yeah.
oh, that's exactly how I feel about them. I feel very torn. I didn't really have any proper upbringing about eclipse,
Mhm.
like being mixed, like the Hispanic side of my family was like, oh, pregnant women have to wear like a paper clip with a red string on them
Oh,
to,
wow.
yeah, to pop any kind of negative spirit that's trying to enter your body during the eclipse. And then my brother's,
Wow.
yeah. So my brother's Native, and then sometimes they say that you're not allowed to go outside during an eclipse because it's like the planets are having relations.
Yeah, I've heard that before in the Vedic community. Yeah, or something like it's stay inside because it's very
It's
chaotic
inappropriate up
energy.
there.
Yeah.
So I personally, I've heard stories about eclipses and things like that, but personally, I just find them um, very chaotic energy. Even if I hide inside my house, under my bed,
Yes,
it will find me.
it will
I will
still
get that
find
find.
you. Yes. It's like that boomerang finds its way from the front of the house to the back and it hits you in the head underneath the bed.
Yeah, it will find a way, or it knocks the light down and the light hits you when you come out the.
Yes.
And that's how I feel about eclipses. Is it very constructive? Does it help anyone raise their consciousness? No. Like my personal opinion is I should hide.
Oh my God.
My professional opinion.
You should just hide. Yeah.
You should hide.
Oh my gosh.
I'm
It's
just
so
kidding. I'm
funny.
just kidding.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I tell a lot of jokes. I try
it's
to be
good.
very lighthearted.
Yeah.
How do you how do you
Yeah.
feel?
Eclipses, I have mixed feelings as well. I guess I have this like hope for, I'm gonna have a good time whenever it's the eclipse. Uh,
Me too.
but every time an eclipse like hits any sensitive point in my chart, planet, whatever, it's a hard time. It's like, oh, I'm gonna be crying for days. Like I'm gonna have to like let go of something that I thought was secure in my life, and it's actually not supposed to be in my life anymore. And like basically being ripped away, and then something immediately will come and fill that place after. And so you're attached to your teddy bear, and then someone takes it and you're like crying over the teddy bear, and then you don't realize that there's a new one right here, or like there's a new thing or a new car or a new relationship or whatever just sitting here. So you're still grieving about this loss and not realize that, hey, there's this new thing. So that's why I have like mixed feelings about it, because I'm just like I know like this is good change and it needs, this flow, because I didn't want to get rid of the thing. I don't want to have to move yet, but I want to, so it's like this like weird mixed feelings. It's hard. People that are in the magical community loves to talk about the discussions ongoing about should you do magic or not when it's the eclipse, or should you charge your crystals or not, and or make moon water and all this stuff. And it's like ongoing, and I'm just kind of like, if you like chaotic energy, if you want to, capture that, go at it, because
Good
it's
luck.
go for it. But for me, I like stability. I like stability. I like for that season to come in and then leave as soon as possible. I don't want to capture it. Yeah.
Young it.
Dong it.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Don't come back. But I know you will in a
Slam the
couple of
door.
months. Yes.
I know. I like how you articulate it. See, so me, I'm just like, we should hide. Everyone should hide in the big cave. We hide together, less chances of us getting found, That
Yeah.
image of SpongeBob under Patrick's house with all those eyes. And he's like, who are you people?
Who are all these people?
Professional astrology.
We love SpongeBob. That's our humor. That's our childhood right there.
So it's like I at first in my early 20s, I was very naive, of course, because you come out and you're like, I'm an adult, blah blah blah. I used to go out and watch eclipses
Yeah.
until a tree fell in front of my house, and I was like,
Oh.
You know that meme of the guy going,
Mm.
I don't know about that. So
Yes.
I met a
Oh,
woman and she was like, you should not go outside during eclipses. And I was like, pray
huh?
tell why. And it's, I slowly through sheer experience realized why. Like,
Yeah.
and I would do the whole like harvesting herbs during the eclipse kind of thing, but then it did hold a very chaotic energy because it's like an eclipse is a portal and it opens and it shuts. You can't like wedge something in the door to keep it open. Things are gonna slip through, mostly chaotic things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it kind of upsets the balance of nature. Like they will be back next year. They happen every year. They're not too weird. We can count on them. I remember also in my early 20s, people would freak out because the internet was just now getting big, right? And
Mm.
it was not um, as good as it was today. So people didn't realize that we had eclipses every year, and they would freak out over them. And I just
Oh,
remember being like, I'm pretty sure, around 2012 and all that stuff. I was like, I'm pretty sure we had one last year. And they're like, no, we didn't. We have never had one of these. I'm like, Lord have mercy. Okay, okay,
she's like,
So
no, I have been watching them this whole time, you guys.
yeah, I'm pretty
It's
sure.
like, what?
I'm sure that happened last July, and it's always June, July, May. You know what I mean? Eclipse season.
Yeah.
We have a whole season for it, but lo and behold, you will see strange posts upon the Facebook where people are like, "This has never ever happened before," and I'm
Mm.
just like, "Hmm, are you sure about that?" Like, you like look at ancient Aztec writings, and you're just like, "Never," you say, "Never ever."
So
Like,
all the moments pops ups of like when it happened multiple
yeah,
times. So like, well, I don't know about never. Look at
not
all
once,
these.
never. Okay, well, good luck. I'm going into the bed.
Going underneath the bed.
Okay.
Yes, yes. Oh my gosh. It does make you feel like that though. Like so many times I had to like leave situations. Yeah,
Yeah.
oh wow, I wouldn't be surprised that like my first big breakup was like during the eclipse. I would not be surprised now if I could go back because it's like May, June, July, towards like the middle of the year, you start having those eclipse seasons. Yeah, it's always something like that. It's crazy, crazy times. Yeah, so I think this is probably a good stopping point because I think we got towards the end of April. Yeah, so we're talking about eclipses, and maybe we'll come back and do May the rest of the year. Um, there's a lot that's going to be happening, and yeah, I'm just super excited, Emily, for showing up. Thanks for being here and sharing your beautiful insights. And maybe we can do another video about the rest of the year if I can find some time.
Yeah,
Thanks.
that'd be great. Thank you for
Yeah.
having me. And I would like to apologize because I do ramble. So,
Oh no, it's good. I ramble too. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Definitely let us know in the comments below, and if you're really wanting more insight about the rest of the year, just let us know as well. And we will make sure we get that out as soon as possible. So, is there anything else that you wanted to share, Emily, before I close it?
oh, not really. I think that's pretty good that we ended on an eclipse.
Yeah,
I think that's interesting because like April also heralds in the beginning of the astrological year in Western astrology.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, I think it was really, really well. Of course, I did
yay!
not know because, but I feel we did well.
I think we did good. Thanks, guys. Let us know how we did. But we'll see you next time. Bye.